Hello everyone, happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. Welcome to our weekly webinar. We had quite an eventful week, and there's another week waiting for us. We'll go through it. We'll discuss a few important things. This is me, Simon Friedman, Senior Account Manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career in June of 2000, so it makes it over 23 years now. I was a prop trader for about 11 years, if you know what that means, intense day trading on Wall Street. And after that, after 11 years of doing that, I moved to a less stressful way of trading and also started to mentor and educate others. And currently, I'm very happy that I can assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, it's usual order that we do. We talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. At the end, we'll touch a little bit of cryptos. And the idea is really to create the plan for the week. And as I like to say, quoting some traders, I don't know who exactly invented this phrase, but as they say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And it's actually making things a little bit more organized and possibly improving the results as well. Risk warning, you can find full statement at avatrade.com. What we'll do here, of course, it's purely educational. Now, these are the channels that I recommend for you to follow. You have Telegram, you have Twitter or X, it's called these days. And you have a YouTube channel, which as I always say, it's my favorite. You have a lot of information there that's being updated or upgraded on daily basis. You have tutorials, a lot of educational material, and very important, the webinars, including this one, are being recorded and posted on YouTube. So don't be afraid if you or upset if you miss a webinar. You can always go back to YouTube and watch it whenever you have time. And of course, you can subscribe, share it with people that you think might benefit from it, and also click on that bell that you'll be notified. Now, a little bit of fundamentals, and we'll go into, we'll start with the calendar and a few words about the economic calendar, especially for new people. I take out here only high impact events, and there's more. You can filter through it. You can find economic calendar at our web trader or the app. Also, a lot of third parties providers are providing its public information. It comes from the same source. And here I take out the high impact events, as I mentioned, and we can go through it. Now, some traders or people in general ask, is it important to follow economic calendar? And I like to say the following. I say that even if you knew ahead of time the specific numbers that are coming out, you would never guess exactly the way and the strength or intensity of the market reacting to it. But nevertheless, it's important to know that certain things are happening, like we had inflation report last week, or we have NFP numbers, or we have interest rate decisions. Certain things are really creating a lot of volatilities in the markets, and it's important that you prepare yourself. Either you enter the market or you stay away from the market, you observe whatever your style and way of trading is. Okay, so we'll go through it really quick. Now, before I go through the economic calendar, it's very, very important. I'm afraid to forget to mention it. On Monday, the US markets, the stock market and the bond market both are closed for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So it's going to be, I guess, a long weekend for the traders, and Tuesday, the stock market comes back to being open. So it's going to be a short trading week, right? Only from Tuesday till Friday, but it's going to be very, very eventful, and we are continuing with the earning reports. We'll mention it later on. Okay, so here are the events from the economic calendar. On Tuesday, we have CPI numbers from Germany. We have employment data from UK. We have CPI numbers from Canada. Now here comes China. As you know, we've been mentioning China every time we speak, and we'll be taking a look at the charts when we get there. So we have important data from China, GDP numbers, industrial production, retail sales. So that's all coming on Wednesday. We have also inflation data, core consumer price index, and also consumer price index from UK. Retail sales from US are very, very important. It just adds more information of how the economy is doing and how active the consumers are. Thursday, we have employment data from Australia, and Friday, we have retail sales from UK and Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. So these are the things, again, these are just the high impact events from the economic calendar. There's much more. Okay, now fundamentally, we had CPI data from the US last week. Market reacted to it as the inflation came a little bit higher than expected. So initially the market reacted, then it bounced, and then towards the end of the week was sold again. We'll take a look at the chart again. So it looks like the market is worried a little bit about the inflation not really giving up, and it could be that something that was kind of priced in, that the Fed would start very soon the cuts of the interest rates, it might be actually delayed. So the market reacted to it. Now, a few things that few articles on the marketwatch.com, and this is the thing that was, I think we spoke, that Microsoft was really trying to catch up with Apple, and last week it did happen. As Apple went down, Microsoft moved to the highs. So it's right here. So the Microsoft valuation as of now is 2.89 trillion, and ahead of Apple, which is 2.87 trillion. As you know, Apple not long ago was at 3 trillion, the first company crossing the 3 trillion mark, right? So here are the numbers. Over the last 12 months, the shares of Microsoft rallied 62.9%. The shares of Apple went up 39.4%. So far this year, since the beginning, Microsoft shares are 3.3% higher, and Apple is off by 3.4%. And if you remember, the first 5 days of the year, January, Apple really went down, I think, more than 5%, so it recovered a little bit. And just to remind us, we spoke about last week about the idea of the market being down first 5 days of the year, and according to some analysts, that indicates that we might see the prices or the indices sliding further this year. And another one is here, Tesla. We'll take a look at the charts of both companies when we get there. But Tesla right here, I'm going to read it straight from here. This is also from MarketWatch, the article on Tesla. Tesla stock fell after the electric vehicle company cut prices again in China. EV sales are going strong in the country, but there are too many automakers fighting for market share. Model Y and a Model 3 price came down between 3 and 6%. The base version of the Model Y crossover vehicle now starts about 36,000, down from 37,000. The base Model 3 starts at about 34.5, down from 36.5. Tesla shares finished down 3.7% on Friday at 218.89, while S&P 500 rose 0.1%, and Nasdaq Composite ended flat. Okay, so we'll talk more about Tesla when we get there. We'll take a look at the chart. Now we'll move to the MT4 platform, and we'll start discussing a few things. So last week we spoke about the earnings coming up for the banks, and the earnings came a little bit mixed. JP Morgan earnings mixed expectation. Bank of America and Citigroup posted actually beating expectation, and Wells Fargo came as expected. So we'll start actually with the banks, just take a quick look at it. So Bank of America still finished the day lower as it gapped down and then it covered a little bit, but still lower than the previous day. JP Morgan, the opposite, we gapped up on JP Morgan and sold lower as they missed the earnings, as we said. This coming week, we have a continuation of earnings. So on Tuesday, we have Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. So Goldman reacted similar as JP Morgan did, even though the earnings are just coming up this week. So we'll continue watching the bank sector as we mentioned it. As you could see here, Citibank gap up and retraced a little bit, but still finished the day in green. So these are the banks. That's something that we spoke about last week. Now let's start with indices. We start with China. As I mentioned, China is not doing good at all, and we have economic data coming in this week. So let's see if we see any positivity there. But the overall mood on Chinese economy is not that great. So as you could see here, we did break that magic 11,000, 11,150. We came back. Um, couldn't break the 11.5, came right back below, and as of now, we're holding this level here of the recent lows at around 11,000. Yes, around 11,000. As you could see, we're really close to that, with few spikes that really can succeed to continue. Nikkei is moving higher. It's a nice move to the upside as yen also remains weak. This I think this move is pretty strong here. So we had the whole week of Nikkei going higher, even though the global markets didn't do that great. So we'll continue watching that. Let's move to US indices. As we mentioned, just want to show you the reaction of the market. You could see here, we reacted, the market sold, and then it was a little bit of a recovery after the inflation numbers came in. As you could see here, we're really trading in a tight range. This is Dow Jones. We finished the day on Friday lower, and the week was almost flat. So that's Dow Jones. S&P 500, it's an up week for S&Ps, recovery or almost recovering the loss of the previous week. And on the daily chart, it's a flat day, as you could see here. And Nasdaq, as we mentioned already, is also totally flat on Friday, and finishing the week also recovering the previous week loss. So it's a crucial week here. We have a short week. We have earnings continue coming in. We have some data. Let's see what indices are doing this week. Are we going higher, retest the recent highs or all-time highs, or we're establishing a lower high and continuing lower? It's very, very crucial. Now, German DAX for the week, we had the green week, but didn't really manage to recover the previous week's low. Friday, we moved higher, and we have, if you look on the weekly chart here, we are below the all-time highs, of course. The last week of December, we sold, and now we're trying to recover here. But as of now, we are below 17,000, and we are holding that resistance there. UK index is not showing a lot of strength here. As you could see here, it's a second consecutive week to the downside, and we are sitting right above the 200 moving average. So these are the indices. Now, also important, take a look at the small cap index right here, Russell 2000. As you could see, it's really experiencing a lot of weakness. Before we turned south, it was really strong as everybody got excited. Even small cap got some positive momentum, but at the moment the market realized that the Feds are not really cutting the rates anytime soon, based on latest data. So Russell reacted negatively to the downside. So that's as far as indices, and let's go through individual stocks. As we mentioned here, Microsoft is number one now, overtaking Apple in the market cap. The stock is strong. We're at the all-time highs, and Thursday's high, which is all-time high, 390.45. That's our next checkpoint. If we are moving there, Apple is sliding, as you could see here, with the China and the slowdown in the iPhone sales and everything else. We are seeing the weakness in Apple stock, and no-brainer, it's slid, and Microsoft is number one now. Boeing, we spoke about Boeing with the issue with 737 of the Alaskan airline, and as you could see, we not only didn't recover that move, we continued lower with the gaps. So we're approaching the 100 and 200 moving average here. Also, we're approaching the previous level from which we bounced to the upside. So support around here, around 217. So we'll continue watching Boeing at this level. We spoke about Tesla, right? Tesla has been selling, and Cathie Woods and her ARK fund are actually buying Tesla here when everybody else is selling. I guess somebody will be right at the end. Now, so Tesla, as we mentioned from the slide before, they're cutting the prices. Also, I just did some research on Tesla. They suspended production at the Germany plant as the Red Sea situation with the ships being derailed there, I guess. It's slowing down deliveries of the supplies and components. So that's also not so positive. Another thing that hurts the rental company is selling a huge portion of their cars. And it's also kind of doesn't look good for electrical vehicle in general and Tesla specific. So as you could see, in general, Tesla's been super weak. When the whole market is aiming or reaching the all-time highs, Tesla's really below 250. Now we're around 218. So that's as far as Tesla. We spoke about Teva Pharmaceutical. We actually spoke for a while about, if you remember, I mentioned that's been traveling between $7 and $11. And we reached last week the $11 mark, and we are holding it. So if you remember, I mentioned here, if we actually see some serious move above 11 and establishing support around here, we might continue higher and test the higher levels over here, as Teva Pharmaceutical has been sitting in this tight range of between 7 and 11, let's say $4 range, for a very long time, since it dropped from 2019. So we're talking about almost 4 years of this tight range. So definitely we'll be watching Teva for possible continuation. And Meta is super strong. We are on the way of challenging the all-time highs. As you see, the V-shaped recovery is super strong. Again, we have to see what in general the markets are doing. All this excitement to the upside in equity markets followed the idea of the Feds done with raising and starting cutting rates. So let's see how that works out. Uber caught my attention on daily chart here, that we had the double top here, and then on Friday the price action show we took the highs and we went straight down still closing below the previous high. So it could be a sign of reversal, or at least temporary correction. So if we are sliding lower, and if the market is, of course, sliding lower, that would intensify the process. We might come to around 57 mark here, which is the previous support on January 3rd, and also the 50 moving average is right there as well. Right, so that's something to pay attention. Now, we spoke about the banks. We'll be watching the banks as JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are reporting. JP Morgan, the leader, showed us a reversal here after the missed earnings. So we'll be definitely watching that. So we established that we did have initial reaction of the market to the high inflation numbers. Market sold and recovered, and we pretty much finished flat. So let's see how this week plays out with more earnings coming in. And of course, Monday, the market is closed. Very important to keep that in mind. Okay, we'll go to commodity. We'll try to take a look at gold, copper, platinum, crude oil, natural gas, and cocoa. So let's go see these instruments. We start with gold. It gained some strength as 10-year yields actually went below 4. We closed around 393, I think. So that's give a little bit of boost to 391. We closed at 10-year yields. So 391 below 4. Gold actually had a little bit of the move to the upside. Let's see how this week plays again for gold. Copper is selling the weakness of the China. If you remember, I mentioned it that at some point copper will catch up to the downside as China was getting weaker. Copper for some reason was moving higher, but then it turned after breaking the previous high. So here we are sitting on the 100 moving average below 50 and below 200, and we are right at the previous support at 373 area. Here we made a higher high and then we reversed. So let's see if this level holds right here, right on the 100 moving average. Of course, we'll be seeing the news from China. If China breaks the current level here and continues lower, it could be the copper will continue sliding as well. Palladium, we've been watching palladium. We're getting closer to that double bottom here from which we had a nice move to the upside to the resistance level of 1250 around there. So far, reversal continues here. We are at 976, about $26, $27 to the support. And so far, this initial stop of this sell-off was at 972.20. So we might retest that level, and if we break, we might go all the way to around 950, and that would be a triple bottom. Let's see if that holds there. Crude oil is still sitting below the 50 moving average with few attempts trying to break through. We're having a hard time as China is not doing that great. The global economy is, even though the indices are moving higher, but the predictions are not that great. You would think that the Red Sea crisis would actually create urgency, or at least some fear of supply shortage. I guess here the reaction would happen, but here, as you could see, we keep on making lower highs. So we need some positive news for the oil. Otherwise, we're sitting in a $5 or $7 range. If you take it from 68 to 75, you could see it better on the weekly chart. As you could see here, the 200-week moving average here was sitting right there and not really moving anywhere. It looks a little bit flat over here. Natural gas, on the other hand, as we mentioned, is gaining some momentum. We closed at 332. So you could see weekly chart. We are trying to break the previous high. that we had in October of last year. The high was 364. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive green weeks. Let's see if it happens. As I mentioned to you, it could be that the winter weather will add to it. It could be that there was a lot of accumulation here, and after being oversold, we might see continuation to the upside. We're not gonna guess. We'll just see what happens here. But it looks like it is moving higher nicely, with a few tails trying to shake everybody out. And cocoa is the last one we'll take a look at. As you could see here, the level of 42.82 is being challenged. The last day of the week on Friday, we did close above, touching the highs here, but closing below the previous highs. So let's see if this move is sustainable, and if we start building support above 42.82, we might continue higher. If we dive right back below, so this breakout was fake, and we might be channeling and also reaching the bottom of the channel and might see the correction. As you could see here on the weekly chart, this candle is a large candle closing at the in green, but below the highs and below the previous highs here. So definitely some traders might consider it as at least an idea, if not a signal for reversal. That's it with commodities. We'll move to Forex. And let's start with dollar index. We're holding steadily above 102. But here, as I mentioned to you, or maybe I didn't, maybe I spoke about it in my other webinar, what we start building here something they called dead cross. Some analysts are considering a signal, even though we're holding here. But you could see there's some kind of accumulation here happening. So according to this, we could see a sell-off. Let's take a look. It's very, very important. Of course, the majors are doing the same thing. As we mentioned a few weeks in a row, 128 is the resistance for the pound, 110 resistance for euro, and yen is again starting to regain some strength. Just want to go through the other pairs. As you could see here, 2 consecutive sell-offs here on the daily chart across the board, as yen is again regaining some strength. And again, especially for new people to mention, Bank of Japan, it's happening. The question is when. Some say it's springtime, some say it's going to be January. Then they finally would make their move on the interest rate. Bank of Japan is the only major central bank that's still at the negative rate, minus 0.1%. So we definitely will see that happening. The question is when and how strong the effect will be. Now, the pair that we've been talking for a very long time, CHF JPY, is just rejected the top again here. The high of November 15 was 170.48. On Wednesday, we went through it, closing at the highs, but the next 2 days, we came right back below that level. You could see it clearly on the weekly chart here. So we might see that move soon. A lot of traders are paying attention to yen, of course, as the move of the yen is super extended, and the reaction could be strong when they finally start increasing the rates. Specific pairs, CAD CHF has been sitting here. We spoke about it a few times, I believe. If you zoom out, we are at the highs trying to bounce here. And on the daily chart, we're really sitting here with a lot of tails. So 2 scenarios, we might see the reversal after the extended sell-off here, or we might see continuation. We're still watching that pair. And USD Hungarian forint, if you remember, I started talking about it a while ago, connecting it to the politics and leadership of Hungary, trying to block or not even blocking the European aid to Ukraine. and they got warning a while ago that if they continue the policy this way, they might actually experience shortage of European help as well. So as you could see here, we're sitting flat. We had few moves to the upside from when we started to talk about this. The move happened. We start talking about the currency right here, somewhere in July, August, September. We had a nice move to the upside, and now after the correction and lower high, we're sitting right on these levels, so we can actually mark this initial level here of 343.88. Can stay around 344. As you could see, we are holding it steadily. We are between a 50 and a 200 moving average. And let's see if the dollar regains the strength, something on a serious level, we might see a nice bounce and possibly retesting that level. If not, we might slide lower and retest the 200 moving average. But we'll definitely, excuse me, we'll be watching the dollar Hungarian forint. Now, Bitcoin, as you all know, there was a lot of excitement, and last week, or there was the week before already, I'm always confused a little bit about these things. If you remember the story when the Twitter account of SEC was hijacked, I don't know if that's the right word to use. So there was a fake posting that they approved the ETFs, and then within the next 10 minutes, they announced that it was a fake post, and it was a retracement. Let's see if we can find it. I think it's right here. On the 11th, and move up and then retracement. In any event, they had the deadline until Wednesday night to approve those ETFs, and the ETFs came out on Thursday already tradable. I counted, it's about 11 of them from different agencies or providers of ETFs. And as you could see here, the initial move wasn't so happy. And I asked myself a question, what is this? And I just want to share with you my experience as an equity trader for about 11 years. I experienced a lot of IPOs. So you can consider those ETFs actually as IPOs because it is an initial public offering. So this could be normal in a way, because what happens, they price up, so everybody gets paid, including the banks that underwrite these deals. So usually if they price it higher, the opening is higher than priced. I'm talking about IPOs. I don't know exactly how much were priced here with the ETFs for the Bitcoin, but sometimes, especially when the market is not so sure, they open higher and then they push them lower, and then it might be a recovery. So it happens in a lot of cases. If you take historically, unless we're really in a booming market where things are coming out and they're just continuing higher, that's ideal. But a lot of times the scenario is happening the following. Let's say just for an example, something is priced at $10 ETF, initial public offer IPO. A lot of excitement, they do a lot of good work, and it opens, let's say, at 15. Everybody gets in, of course, and then the major holders unload. It happens a lot. So sometimes it ends that day at 10, or that week at 10, even lower. And then comes the real trading. They start really testing and seeing what's the real value of the instrument. So again, I talked too much about this little event, which is not little. It's a beginning of some excitement for some traders that don't have access to actual Bitcoin, but they can trade now 11 ETFs. So the question is, will we go to this level of the excitement, or will we play around these levels or even sell? I think the upcoming days and weeks will show. Okay, so again, please subscribe to the channels. You have Telegram, you have Twitter, you have YouTube channel. If you are watching on YouTube, please also subscribe. click on the bell. You'll be notified new things. Definitely, I would appreciate your feedback. If you write your comments, it would be great. And just to summarize what we spoke about, we started the earnings season, which kicked in with banks, some mixed data. JP Morgan sold, Bank of America, good earnings, but also sold. Citibank went a little bit higher. We have on Tuesday, Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs reporting again. More companies starting to report. We had Microsoft bypassing Apple in market valuation. We have market cooling down a little bit on the excitement of the rate cuts as the CPI data came a little bit disappointing, and it could cause the Feds to delay the process. And we have, again, just remind us, Monday, the stock and bond market in the US are closed for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So it's going to be a short day. The market, European markets are continuing as usual, so it's going to be still a lot of actions. Forex market is functioning as usual. I want to wish everyone a great week, a successful week. Prepare yourself, prepare your accounts, manage your risk. Have a wonderful and successful week. We'll see you next week. All the best.